Hello and welcome back to the Geordie Pig Investor channel, and today I'm doing an exciting video on premium bonds. If you're unsure what premium bonds are, I'm going to go through that with you today, and then also going to reveal my own premium bonds, how much money I've actually made on premium bonds, and I'm going to track it every single month and then do a quarterly review update with you guys to see if it's actually worth it for yourselves to be invested in premium bonds. What are premium bonds and how do they work? Well, premium bonds are unique because they don't actually earn any interest. So instead of earning interest on your money, what the government has offered you is an annual prize fund rate that funds a monthly prize draw for tax-free prizes. So you can see on this chart on the right-hand side, the amount of winners you get for each valuation of prizes. This will differ depending on how many entries there are, and also on how many bonds are bought, and also depends on what the current interest rate is that is being applied to the premium bonds. They do apply a monthly interest rate, which equates to the amount of prizes that are given out, but then it is down to luck for you to actually win that amount. So an example to go with here would be if you had £12,000 worth of premium bonds and the prize draw rate percentage was at 5%, you should be winning around about £600 a year. And that would equate to £50 a month, which would be, either two £25 prizes or a £50 prize every single month. But as I've mentioned, that might not be the case, and that might not be what you end up with. Now, something that's great about the premium bonds is you get that little bit of fun factor, as you could potentially win the £1 million. There's two on offer every single month. There's also plenty of £100,000 prizes, £50,000, all the way down to the bottom prize, which I've mentioned before, is £25. And to add to this, like I said earlier, it is all tax-free. So for every pound you have in premium bonds, you actually receive one ticket/entry into the draw, and this will be for 2 months' time. The reason for it being 2 months ahead rather than the month ahead is because you could dump, say, £10,000 in on the last day of the month. Say in January, you could put £10,000 in on the 29th of January, right at the end of the month, and then on the 1st of February when the draw comes out, you would then be eligible for all of that money to be included, which would then not be fair because you've only had that money in for about 2-3 days, or you could even just do it for 1 day, and then you could withdraw the money all back out once you get your prizes and do the same thing again at the end of that month. And while the rest of that month goes on, you could be putting it in a bank to earn interest. So you could be getting interest from the bank and then also receiving tax-free prizes from the NS&I premium bonds. So that's why it's 2 months ahead. So if you really want to be efficient with your money, the best thing to do is actually wait until the last day before the end of the month and put all your money in then. So then you're eligible for the first of, not the following month, but the month after that, and you're getting the most out of that month prior as well, so that you can get as much interest on that cash before you move it across. But it's up to you if you wanted to be that particular about it. So the table shows the chances of you winning each prize for different amounts of money invested into the bond. So I quite like this table because, as you can see the actual chance of you winning every single time a draw comes on. So if you were to have £1,000 of bonds, you can see you should win 1 in 3 times. You would win £25. If you had £10,000 worth of bonds, you should win 3.4 times per year. So you can see how the odds actually change, and you can see how unlikely it is for you to win that £1 million, even if you have £20,000 worth of premium bonds. So this chart shows up to £20,000 worth of bonds, but you can actually own up to £50,000 worth of premium bonds. So that's the maximum allowed per person per account, and you can only have one account each. So if you were, if you had a partner, you could have £50,000 in each tax-free, and any winnings, like I say, is all tax-free. So the real question is it really worth it? Well, that's where I come in. I will show you the results I've had over the last few months. Over the last few months, I have had my money invested back into premium bonds. I did actually have premium bonds a few years ago, but I ended up purchasing a house at the time and I needed access to the funds, so I ended up moving all the money out of the account. So I ended up taking the money out and using it as my deposit for my house that I currently live in. And since then, I have been getting a lot more heavily involved in investing, as you know, with this channel, sort of the last 7-8 months. And I've decided that it's going to be the right time for me to invest some money into premium bonds, because I've actually got quite a little bit of money built up in my savings account, and with the interest rates being as high as sort of 5% at the minute, especially for like 1 year fixed savers, I am really pushing on that £1,000 tax-free threshold, and I don't want to be exceeding that and having to pay tax on interest I receive on money. So rather than it being taxed, I decided I'm going to put it across into some premium bonds and see if I can try my luck. So who doesn't love a cheeky gamble, especially when you're guaranteed not to lose? I started investing again into the premium bonds at the start of January, and it's obviously now into March, so I've had 3 prize draws, and what I'm going to do today is reveal those prize draws to you and see how much money I have made from these prize draws. In January, it was actually back at the back end of last year. In November, I invested £1,600 so that it would be eligible for my January draw. I added no money in January, and the prize rate was 4.65%. So my expected winnings with £1,600 invested would be around about £6.20 per month. Obviously, the minimum prize is £25, so there's no chance I could ever win £6.20. But if you do the maths, roughly every 4 months, with this amount invested at this prize rate, I should be receiving one £25 prize. But is that what happened this month? Let's find out. No. So my first month back in the premium bonds, unfortunately, I won 0, absolutely nothing. I was to be expected, like you say. I'm only supposed to win roughly 1 in 4 right now with the current prize rate and expected winnings. So I can't expect to be winning every single month yet, especially with the amount I have in. So that was January for you, and that now brings the total for the year to an expected winning of £6.20 and actual winnings of 0. So moving on from January, if we move on to February, you can see I also didn't add any money in February, and I had the same prize rate percentage at 4.65. My expected winnings were obviously exactly the same, and a grand reveal, another nil bueno. So no money won in February either, which was to my disappointment. Obviously, I would like to see a win, but like I say, very early on, I haven't got very much invested, so I have still currently won £0, which is a little bit of a shame. And that now takes the yearly total to around about £12.40 in expected winnings, and I have actually won 0. Moving on to March, I did add £400 just this last month, so that will be eligible in not April but May, so that'll bump it up to £2,000. And the prize rate is still at that 4.65%, but it is the last month at that 4.65% as they have dropped it down to 4.4%. This is obviously going to become more frequent as interest rates do start to decrease, as they do seem to be already decreasing across the board, and over the next year or two are likely to creep back down. So again, my expected winnings are just the same this month. And did I get a win? No. No win in March either. So unfortunately, my first 3 prize draws of the year, I've had no luck. And again, I'm not actually expected to have won yet technically because I'm not even at that £25 mark. So hopefully April is going to be the lucky month for me. And what does this show overall then? So like I say, one of the main reasons I'm doing this as well is just as an experiment. I'm going to do this and try and build the pot up as much as I can. So once I have ticked off all of my investing goals for that month and all my saving goals, I will then look to premium bonds. So I'm very happy to continue adding, and it's a good experiment to see if it is actually worth it compared to the rates of the bank. So what I've done here is show you a little chart. Now obviously the bank yearly returns is dependent on the fact that you aren't paying any interest on your cash that is sitting in the bank. So what I've done is I've put 5.2% down for the bank yearly returns, because in Trading 212 in a general investing account you can get 5.2%. I know that Santander also have an account where you can get just over 5.1% currently, and Tandem have about 4.9%. So there's plenty on offer around about that 5% still. So I'm using 5.2% right now as that is available, but if that becomes unavailable, I will then drop the bank rate down to whatever rate is available at the time. So you can see my expected winnings, and you can see the bank yearly return winnings and my actual winnings. So unfortunately my yearly winnings are 0, so the green bar is non-existent right now, but my expected yearly winnings are obviously slightly behind the bank yearly winnings due to the fact that the interest rate is slightly lower. But like I say, if you are paying tax on your savings, then it is actually going to make more sense to start putting some money into the premium bonds because they are tax free. But if you're not exceeding that £1,000 threshold, then you are probably going to be better off leaving the money in the bank, unless you don't mind taking that little bit of a hit and like the risk factor of it. So yeah, so this is the experiment so far. We're 3 months in, and what I'll do is every 3 months I will reveal how my premium bonds are coming along, hopefully get a winner soon, and yeah, we'll be able to take it from then and see how beneficial they really are. So currently at £0, let's hope for a better month in April. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and this is the Geordie Pig Investor, over and out.